What's going on, guys? Welcome to a very special episode of First Thing in the Morning. Now, I got a very cool interview for you guys today with Tommy C. from Shot from the Point, as well as the Baited Podcast. Tommy, how you doing today?
I can't complain. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very, very good. First of all, right at the beginning here, I want to thank you very much for doing this. I think it's very cool that you'll help smaller YouTubers out, kind of get their name out there. So thank you very much for being on the show today.
I appreciate it. I do what I can, but I'll be perfectly honest with you. If you were a bigger YouTuber, I would have charged you, more than likely. So. I do a scale thing. One of the things that I like to tell people right away, and it does avoid accusations of clickbaiting or only being in for the money. I tell people that I am definitely in this for the money. But I do think, while that is true, I had 800 subs once, and it would have been nice if somebody helped me out. So, I also do want to help people out when I can. So I do scale it. If you're big and you want my time, like I don't know, somebody came up to me and they asked me to be a part of a voiceover, and they were telling me how big it's going to be and how great it's going to be. I was like, wow, this is commercial enterprise, what have you. I was like, and the site was supposed to have 10,000 subs and all this other stuff. Okay, so what are you paying me? Yeah. And it's like, well, no, we're not paying anybody. I'm like, I thought.
Well, then you're not getting Tommy C.
No, I get me. Not if I don't get a piece of it. But I like at the same token, I'll have people with 100. I think the lowest one I did was 12 subs. I will do those interviews, provided I'm approached, somewhat professionally. I mean, if you give me a ring and say, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? And don't tell me anything information than that. I'm pretty much not going to answer you.
just show up. Just show up, Tommy. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Just show up.
I'm not going to tell you anything. I just want to be my podcast. I like you when you follow these up too. It's pretty funny. You follow them up and it'll be like, so what's your podcast? Like because I don't do the work for anybody anymore. I get sick of it. So I was like, what's your podcast? Well, I haven't really started it yet, and I don't have the right microphone. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Okay, so you want me to do a podcast eventually, but you have none of the equipment that you need to do that.
Yes, you have none of the equipment, another thing. You don't even have a co-host. You have nothing. You have absolutely nothing.
Do you even have a YouTube channel or something to put it on?
Yeah.
I
just started one.
Oh, okay.
So, with you, I got it. You had a YouTube channel. It's at 800 subs. I thought it was well organized, the way the playlists were and everything like that. So I was like, and you wanted to talk hockey at some point, so I was sold.
I knew if
let me do your interview. I have a habit of taking over other people's interviews, so go right ahead.
Well, I'm more of a conversation type of interview. It's not like question answer, but I do have a few questions for you here. Last night after we spoke, I went on your channel, started looking at some stuff, and I noticed you do kind of a love phone show where people call in.
I just started that.
Yeah, and you give them relationship advice. I do something similar on my channel, except my advice is purposefully awful. Like, that's the whole gimmick of the show, right?
Yeah.
What I like about you, and this kind of goes back to you admitting you do this primarily for the money, is that you're very...
I would say primarily for the money,
not primarily,
but I do this for the money.
It's an incentive.
But I would. Oh, it's a big incentive. It motivates me. But I did do it for nothing. So I do want to make that clear.
Yeah,
I don't do it
true.
only for the money. But
it's
big. I just want to make that clear. That's all.
What I meant by that is you're very honest with people, and you tell them that you can make a lot of money here, and I'm here to get my piece of the pie. And I like that about you. And your relationship show. I watched 2 of the 3 episodes, and I just really like how honest you are with people. It's really, really good. Is this something you've always wanted to do, or was this just something you got together with Dr. Ion and said, hey, I want to work together, or something like that?
I love radio. I grew up outside of New York City, about 30 minutes from Manhattan, and it always does have, even though it's probably been in decline, even since before I was born.
Yeah.
New York radio is special. And, we had love phones, and we had Rush Limbaugh, and we had Howard Stern, and we had Opie and Anthony. And if you're going to be anything but anything, you have to come to New York radio. LA radio is not the same. Chicago radio is not the same. You have to come to New York radio. I had Scott Muni, the guy who broke the Beatles in New York. I grew up with all these guys, right?
Yeah.
And all these sort of show gimmick. And I'll be blatantly honest with you. I'm taking their format and I'm putting my spin on it. I haven't I don't know that I've come up with an original format yet.
Does that even exist anymore?
I will say this. The only original thing that I think I've ever come up with, right, is a game show where I play NHL 17 and you pick goal for, goal against, or no goals at all, and I give you a video game if you win.
That's a fun game, though. That's
the only original thing I've ever done. And that's not even all that original. But no, I do. I've always, I grew up, as long as I can remember, I said I wanted to be a DJ. That's probably the first job I said I wanted to be when I was a kid. Like, what do you want to be? I want to be a DJ. I want to be like Scott Shannon on Z100 in the early 80s. And I kind of forgot about that sort of dream as I got into college. I was in community college, and there was a guy in there. His name was, oh, fuck it, I don't care, G.J. Von Roth was his name. And I went to high school with him, and he's a really horrible human being. So seeing him in college, I thought that things may have changed. And he was the head of the radio station on campus. And we were lucky, community college have a radio station, right?
Yeah.
So the problem with the radio station is all the equipment was broken or missing, but GJ was the only thing that had anything to do with it. Like, so I asked him, I was like, what do we got to do to raise money to get in here? And he was just like, no, we can't do this. And no, we can't do that. And I was told that GJ was like this.
Right.
And I gave him the benefit of the doubt because we were both adults at this point. Like I was 19, he was 21 or something like that. And I started realizing that he was either stealing shit or like he wanted to be the head of the radio station that never broadcast because then he could be in charge of something, which is exactly what he was like when he was younger, right? And this is kind of, and in fact, if he hears this, you might want to censor that part. He'll probably sue me, but he was a horrible human being. And shortly afterwards, I read and so the conversation sort of devolved into a complete argument, and then he said, I knew he's serious because he was a little shit and a little rat. He said, I'm calling campus security if you don't leave right now. So that was the end of my radio career.
You're illustrious.
It came to an abrupt halt in 1995.
Oh, that's great.
So I stopped thinking about it.
But fast forward a couple of years.
Yeah, well, more than a couple of years. Try 20.
Yeah.
So almost 20. Yeah, sure. I worked for AT&T. I did troubleshooting for 56K modems. 9/11 happened. Everybody lost their jobs. I drove a cab. I joined the army. I went to Iraq. I fell in love with Germany. I got thrown out of my house. I got a divorce. And while I'm working this horrible freaking job in my mid-30s, I was like, I got back into hockey again because I really wasn't I wasn't watching hockey when I was in the army and the military because stationed in Germany, 1 o'clock in the morning, your game times. But I had a job where I could sort of afford to do that at the time, so I started watching hockey again. And I don't know. I guess I made a few hockey videos. If you look at the original Shot from the Point, they're actually videos.
So back in the day you made.
Yeah. And then Dead on Dave called me. He started getting interested, who had no prior experience with hockey whatsoever, other than, the Blackhawks had won a Stanley Cup like a year or two earlier.
Right.
And our phone conversations developed into a sort of a video that we tried to make where we went over each series in the 2012 playoffs.
Right.
And I'm like, what are we doing? Why don't you just do a podcast?
Yeah.
Well, and then sort of all my dreams of being a radio star came back, and then we tried to do it like straight up New York sports radio, and I hate sports radio. And I realized, like, why don't I add Howard Stern in sports radio? Why don't I mix the two, which is not totally original. A guy named Scott Farrell sort of did that. He was sort of he actually mixed Wolfman Jack and and sports radio. Scott Farrell, he's another influence of mine. I would have to throw him on the list. And why don't I do that and talk normally? And it was a little bit of adjustment for Dave because I don't think he liked that New York sort of style that I delivered, but that's what I wanted to do and talk about my favorite sport.
Yeah.
And then it sort of fell that way, and we just did it for a hobby for years until recent events. And
you've been doing some really, really great shows recently, both for the YouTube drama and the hockey. So you guys are really starting to hit your groove. I mean, for the hockey, you guys have hit it for a while now, but I think you guys are getting more comfortable. And then adding Jeff Huffman was a really good call too. He's really fun, even though in that video that Hey Watch Your Mouth made with Sear, I thought that was hilarious. By the way, I know you were a big fan of that too.
Yeah,
I think Jeff has a little bit more input than what Hey Watch Your Mouth gave him credit for. But
no, he doesn't. I think Spirit Hey Watch Your Mouth got it 100% correct.
He chews gum like a pro. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, no, he does. Well, here's the thing. Jeff has actually been with us. I think this is 2 seasons now.
Right.
Hockey is not new for us. It's what we started with, and basically my channel, Shot from the Point. I don't name it after myself. I never did because it's a team effort.
Yeah.
I'm very much in the team, so I am the captain of this team, and it's a hockey fan's view on not only YouTube drama but life. I would say my channel's a bit of a reality show.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I don't really have much of a problem saying that. It is. It's a reality show.
There's a negative connotation that comes with reality show, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the shit shows on TV. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't. But I think mine's a real reality show.
Yeah, exactly. What's actually happening to you is not scripted. It's organic.
I'm telling you how I feel. And Howard Stern takes a lot of credit for those reality shows. I don't know if it's undeserved. But what happened is the thing is I'll do something yesterday which pissed people off. I was apologetic over the cash situation, very apologetic.
Yeah, and I think
I was very apologetic.
Yeah,
and I got some negative reviews.
I think you did the right thing there.
I think so, but I got some negative reviews over that. But that's the way I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
So I may feel differently. That's the way people are. They don't feel all the same way all the time, And
no, exactly.
That's the way I was feeling at that time, and that's the way I feel now about the whole situation. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk about those things. And I think those things are interesting. And as long as people want to hear me talk about them, then I'm going to keep doing it. And that's just the way I feel about that. That's what I plan to do.
Perfect. You mentioned earlier, and you also, this goes back to kind of me watching Love Phone. You mentioned earlier that you drove a cab. And on Love Phone, you said you had a bunch of crazy stories. Is there one that sticks out to you in particular? Or was it just kind of a bit of craziness on a daily basis?
Yeah, I just realized that I didn't answer one of your questions about love phones because I went on a big rant.
Oh, big rant. Okay, well, go.
I'm going to answer that question now.
Yeah. Okay,
go ahead. The reason I took love phones is because I was exposed. Did I make that clear? I was sort of exposed to. That was one of the many formats, and it's just a format I wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
But to answer your question, I do have crazy stories about driving a cab. The only one that sticks out, I think there's better ones, but the only one that sticks out is I picked somebody up. I drove for Woodbridge Checker in Woodbridge, New Jersey, where I spent my high school years growing up, and I feel still very connected to that town.
Yeah.
And I picked a woman at Metro Park, which is one of the main train stations in the area, which is in Edison. And Edison and Woodbridge sort of border each other.
Okay.
In New Jersey. And this woman got in, and she was slightly overweight, seemed very pleasant, and she said, "Hi, how you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, how you doing? How can I help you today?" "It's great. Oh, you seem really friendly. And she gets it. So where you headed? I'll show you. Now, I didn't have as much experience at the time to say, no, you have to tell me where you're going.
Yeah.
So I just pulled out. You don't do that. That's number one. Tell them where you're going.
Yeah.
You tell them, no, I'm sorry. It's kind of my policy. I really need to know where you're going. 9 times out of 10, if you say that, they're like, oh, I'm going to Caseby.
Right.
Oh, okay. And then it's just people's like, I'll show you. It's because a cab driver's not your friend. He's providing a service for you. And one of the things he does need to know, because it gets confusing, you want to know where you're going, because what happens is people say, I'll show you, and then they start doing other shit or playing with their phones or something like that. And then you make the wrong, hey, you're supposed to make a left over here. Well, you didn't tell me where the fuck you're going.
I'm supposed to guess up here.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know. So every turn I came into, it says, ma'am, I go, could you tell me where you're going? And then she, go left here, go left here. I was like, and I would tell her, I go, could you please tell me where you're going? No, over, and just make a right over here. I was like, could you tell me where you're going? And I told her, I was like, you're going to have to tell me where you're going. She wouldn't do it. I made a wrong turn. I got lectured, and I just said, I got pulled over the car, and I was like, look, you're going to have to tell me where you're going, okay? And I forget, she named a housing project, a housing development, right?
Right.
That had 3 sections to it.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. It's okay, so is it on the right side of the street? And she goes to me, I'll show you when you get there. And I said, no, you will get out of my cab. You can't do that. No, you're a danger to me because I'm about to cross Route 1, and that's dangerous, and you will not tell me where you're going, and I'm afraid you're going to tell me left or right. He goes, you can't do it. I'm going to sit right here. And I was like, you know what? I am too. So I got out, and I sat on the roof, and I didn't know this at the time. I can have somebody removed from my cab just by feeling threatened, right? Yeah. Not that she threatened me, but she was kind of a threat.
She was being difficult.
Yeah, she was being so difficult, and she was friendly while doing it. It was so I got out, I lit up a cigarette, and I sat on the roof of the car, and I wouldn't move. And her fat ass had to cross Route 1 by herself, and I was definitely praying she got hit by a car. That's probably my craziest story.
Well, what I should
have done, because I'd only been driving a few weeks. What I should have done is just all that. Like, I want this person removed. And the police, and it's funny, the cops, although they're not really good with cab drivers most of the time over there, that's the one thing that they do not want you upset, because that's why accidents happen.
Yeah.
You know? So it was just a bizarre event that she just simply refused to tell me where she lived.
I think the moral of the story for people listening today is that if you're going to take a cab, tell your driver where you're going.
Yeah. It's and if you're a cab driver, make sure say, I'm sorry, I can't leave by policy. You got to tell me exactly where you're going. Give me at least a street name or something. You know? So
all you Uber drivers out there, listen to Tom C. He knows what he's talking about.
Actually, no, yeah, just like don't let them do that. You need a definite and make up something. Tell them it's policy. Tell them it's something you have to put in your computer. Tell them you log everything. 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, "Oh, I live on First Street," right off the bat.
Yeah,
they're going to do that, right? If they don't do that after you explain it, you probably shouldn't have them in the cab. There might be something funny going on.
Yeah, it might be. A
lot of people that are buying drugs do that. They'll say, "Take me over here," and they won't tell you because they don't want it announced over the radio.
Right.
Right. It was a place. Although I think it's been gentrified. It was a really bad neighborhood. Was it Carteret, and the place is Bergen Street, which I think has been bulldozed since. Thank God.
Okay.
So they don't want to know where you're going, but you're definitely buying drugs because they're afraid the cops will be there to bust them. And the rule we had on Bergen Street, you got in, you got out. If you took any time whatsoever, if you took any time whatsoever, we left you there, and then you have to deal with the drug dealers who you probably owed money to, right? So most people got in and out. Other people, like I had this one woman, like she bought like fucking crack, and she starts bullshitting with some other guy in the street, like, no, we gotta get the fuck out of here. You just bought your crack, we gotta go.
Yeah,
I don't want to get charged with trafficking because I am not supposed to know. As long as I don't know, I'm good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, try that in court. So most of the time, but so now that I'm remembering it. There's another place in Elizabeth, like Bergen Street, and we went over there, and the guy was giving me a hard time, and the cab driver told me, or the dispatcher told me, if this guy gives you any hard time whatsoever, leave him, right?
Right.
And the guy gets in the car, and he says, we're going to Elizabeth, and you're not going to leave me there. I'm like, I don't know. Like what? You're going to stay there no matter what. No matter, yeah. And I actually snapped back at the guy. I was like, I know what you're going to do, and it's not my fucking business, but if I feel down, I'm going to split. You got that, asshole? And then it's like, you better not leave me. I'm like, or what? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You'll puke on me, a heroin addict?
You going to find me somehow in your
drugged out stupor? I dropped him. I dropped him off. And I looked ahead, and I'm not sure because I didn't really hear anything because the music was loud. I saw pebbles kind of skipping in front of me.
Right.
And then I looked over to the place, the swing set, after I dropped them off, and the kids jumped off the swings and started running. And I realized they were more than likely bullets. And I left that fucker there.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I think they were shooting at him, too, if I had to guess. But I had the music really loud, and I just see the pebbles just I was like, wow, that's kind of strange. Like, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm out.
You're like, hail in July.
Went back and did you leave that guy? And the funny thing was, the dispatcher's like, did you leave that guy there? I was like, yeah, I left him. Did you get the money ahead of time? I was like, yeah, sure did. And he says, well, why'd you leave him? Because he's gonna bitch. I was like, and I told him, I was like, I think I was getting shot at, but I didn't stick around to try to figure it out.
That's if there's any doubt that you're getting shot at, probably your best bet is to get out of there.
Yes.
Not stick around and put your detective hat on.
Fuck that guy. And he's a real asshole to me too. And they made him pay up front. They made him pay me up front. Because
I guess if you're going to a specific area, you're like, no, you're paying us before. If I had to guess,
he owed them money. And he went there, probably owing them thousands of dollars, and showed up to buy more on loan. Because that's what being a junkie will do to you.
Yeah,
you'll go up to people that will kill you, or at least brandish weapons, to buy more drugs from them when you already owe them $1,000.
Yeah, that's
people that will kill you over $1,000. That's how, because there's nowhere else to go.
Exactly.
you got to get the shit somewhere, So that happened.
There's no illegal drug pharmacy you can easily walk up to. So
that was the only other time I got shot at New Jersey. I don't know if I was getting shot after. I went to pick up my friend Izzy at the Puerto Rican Day Parade over in South Amboy, and some guys started bucking off in the middle of the street.
What?
And I had to take. I wasn't driving a cab then, but yeah, that things of it. It's happened twice.
Jesus Christ.
But, yeah, Jersey was kind of crazy. Nothing like that's happened in Germany in 10 years. All
right, so your show Shot from the Point. You obviously are a big hockey fan, as am I. Our teams actually are at the top of the Eastern Division.
Teams, yeah.
Montreal #1. New York is right below us. I think they're only about 4 or 5 points behind. How do you feel about your Rangers this year?
Better than I ever thought I would.
Oh, actually, we're only 2 points behind. The Rangers are 2 points behind on us.
Yeah, better than I ever thought because they're getting depth scoring. It's a dangerous combination. I saw Devils win a lot of Stanley Cups based on depth scoring.
Yeah.
They're not having any real superstars. Although I don't know that we don't have any future superstars in that team. I think our team's pretty deep. I didn't expect it. I just hoped Rick Nash would play good enough where he could get traded this year. That was my best hope for the season. But there was always that chance that T.J. Miller and Jasper Fast and what's his name, Omar Lindholm, the other Swedish kid. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah,
they've shown flashes of brilliance in and even Chris Kreider has only been in the team 4 years. They could step up and become regular all-stars. They've shown flashes of that. T.J. Miller, I think, is leading the team in scoring still. And Jimmy and one of the Hayes brothers, Jimmy Hayes too. They seem to have that core. I didn't know that they would ever put it together,
right?
Or B, I didn't know that they would ever put it together, or B, do it this year if they were. And it appears they have. So I'm very happy. I think as soon as Lundqvist starts picking it up, which he usually is kind of a late November when he starts building
really gets going.
Yeah, that's when it really gets going normally. And Rick's not playing that bad well, and I'm actually still for trading Rick. Maybe get a younger defenseman back there or something like that, or bring in a big star. You could probably trade Rick for a powerful forward or something like
definitely.
that. Because I don't care how well. I don't care if he has 700 goals. I don't want him in the playoffs. I don't care if he has 1,000 goals this year. All right, if he scores if he averages 20 goals a game, okay, I don't want him in the playoffs.
So you're not as big as so you're not as big as fan. I can gather.
I like Rick personally. I love the way he came in the league. I think he's maybe top 5, one of the most talented players in the league. He cannot get it done in the playoffs. He's been on the team almost half a decade now. He's proven without a doubt to me that he's not trustworthy during the playoffs in big games. He is extremely talented. He's a nice kid. He's not even kidding anymore. He's 31 years old, but he's aging, and he doesn't seem to get it done in the playoffs. He almost becomes a role player in the playoffs. That's not what he's paid for.
Yeah.
As we say on Shot from the Point, score goals, Rick Nash, score goals. Yeah.
Are you really just strictly a New York Rangers fan, or do you have maybe a second or third team where the Rangers?
No, I don't. I guess I'd have a team I'd root for if the Rangers moved up and moved, but that's never going to happen. But no, I do. I like to tell people I'm a Ranger fan and I follow the league, and since Shot from the Point, I probably follow the league more than I follow the Rangers.
Right.
So, and I think that just became a necessity to do a show that's kind of all encompassing. Yeah,
definitely. So, Baited podcast. Keemstar and Colossal is crazy. For those because I know there's a few of my subscribers who don't listen to Baited and don't know how it got started. So if you could just take us very quickly back to the beginning. How did you get involved with the Baited podcast?
I got a Twitter spat with Keemstar over Tommy and C. That Keem.
For those of you who might not know, Tommy NC 2010 is another YouTuber who has autism but doesn't want to be defined by it. Him and Keemstar got into a little bit of a Twitter war, I guess you would call it. And then Tommy is good friends with Tommy NC 2010. He kind of came to his defense. So sorry, go on.
Yeah, and you're gonna need more than 30 minutes, so we'll just keep this going past the 30-minute mark.
Cool.
I'm in the mood now too.
Good,
so
I appreciate that, Tom.
Yeah, we'll keep that going past the 30-minute mark. So yeah, Tommy, it's not so much that I defended him because he he doesn't want to be defined by autism. My issue.
No,
with
but
Keem
you're his friend. You're his friend, and you saw
my
him.
issue. My issue with Keem was simply that he was saying that he wasn't autistic. I mean, certainly Keem has a right to his opinion, and he sort of presented Tommy as a sort of evil genius of YouTube, just strictly trying to get hits. I took exception to that. We exchanged on Twitter. Then I made a video sort of bashing Keem, and then I think he sent something. Then he followed me on Twitter, which it almost terrified me.
You're like, what did I get myself into now?
Yeah, and I already followed him because I was a fan of Drama Alert, but I'd heard so many horrible things about him, that he had hackers coming out. Oh, there's a lot of stuff that was just all bullshit, But I was a little nervous. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And then he came on to one of my live stream where he commenced and had this sort of epic fight, but he kind of pulled a trick. I didn't get Keemstar. I got like Mr. Professional Daniel Keem. So it just consists of me screaming and insulting him the whole time and him kind of taking it. And I often think that he kind of won the fight just because he tricked me.
Because he was so calm.
And because he's one of the few people to get me upset on the air, like legitimately upset.
Yeah.
Like really angry. And shortly after, him and Colossal approached me to do this podcast. And I naturally agreed. Of course, I asked Tommy's permission first because
I thought was very, very cool of you to do.
Yeah, well, not permission as much as I probably would have done it either way because I just had to because I was unemployed at the time.
But you talked to him first.
Yeah, I did. And Tommy's got a big heart. And, we spoke last night, too, for about 45 minutes. And he gave me his blessing. And, it is because I knew what I was up against. You're a sellout. You're a piece of crap. You're this, you're that. Yeah. And I don't think I was. I think I was just taking advantage of an opportunity. And if I think about a sellout, I would have said something like, "Hey, Keem's right."
Yeah, exactly.
Tommy's not autistic.
There's this weird attitude on YouTube that like making money is a bad thing, and I've never understood that. I mean, it takes a long time to put out you with your radio show twice a day sometimes. And then, people who make videos, editing takes a really long time, and filming takes a long time. And it would be nice to get a few bucks back for all the time and effort put in. So I never got this idea, this whole mentality of money making is bad on YouTube. Everybody has to do it for the love of the art. You can love
when your fan base when your fan base is between the ages of 12 and 17.
There you go.
And it doesn't even come down to like, well, I'm mature. No, but here's the thing: everything you do is paid for. The gifts magically appear under the tree every December 25th in the morning.
Yeah.
You don't have any sense of what it takes to raise a family, pay your bills, make sure your apartment's clean. You haven't had to do that because your bed's made because mommy makes it for you.
Exactly.
For the most part.
Exactly.
And I can hear some dipshit kid out, I make my bed. Take it as a metaphor, stupid. Okay? But I think and I was like that too when I was a kid. Like I was always like, Metallica sold out.
Yeah.
No, here's what happened to Metallica. They were working harder than every other band on the planet that was making $10 and $20 million more than they were. And they decided to present an album that would be more MTV friendly, that would give them the amount of money that their competitors were getting, probably undeservedly so, because Metallica's way more badass than 90% of the bands when they did get famous. So, there's a lot of that. So, you say, well, that's not my band and that's not my Metallica. They're making a business decision, and that's what life is. So, I mean, life's a series of decisions, and if you want to improve your lifestyle, that's simply what you have to do. And I got to be honest with you, with the arty farty types, they'd always point to starving artists and that's what you want to be at. You want to be somebody who can't pay their rent. You want to be somebody who's divorced and can't see their kids. Actually, a starving artist that will not do any sort of commercial work to feed themselves, I think they're sadomasochist, mentally ill, and somebody that should be pointed out as somebody not to be like.
Or someone not to look up to.
No, this is not. I mean, even Pablo Picasso did dopey stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
To pay the bills. And, I understand that I'm not Pablo Picasso, but I think this is something that's kind of ingrained in kids' heads. And it's also reinforced by other YouTubers that are just as money motivated as I am, that will lie to their face and tell them they're not money motivated because they just love it and they would do it for anything. Well, here's the thing. They might do it but they're not going to do it as much.
Yeah,
I couldn't broadcast twice a day if I had a fucking regular job.
I totally get that.
Yeah, so I mean, the streamers got to get paid. Guys that even play video games for a living got to get paid. Win tournaments, they got to get donations, and so do I. I got rent to pay too.
Everybody's got to live.
Wife and kids. I got child support. I got all that, and it is just simply a reality. And I think a lot of young people are told that reality isn't what it is.
No,
that being said, if you put yourself on every fucking cup and T-shirt and stuff like that, and you wonder why you're kind of overexposed and kind of lame, yeah, you can overdo it the other way as well.
Of course.
But if you do nothing, if your heroes are people who can't pay the bills, then you will be somebody who can't pay the bills. And most of the time, I think those people are mentally ill.
Yeah, and as someone who at one point in his life couldn't pay the bills, I'd rather do something like you're doing and be like, yeah, I'm here to make some money, and that's fine. You know what I mean? So,
well, another thing is it plays into my show because it's sort of a reality show, and I'm trying to, I'm absolutely trying to create interest in, my background, my life, my interests. So one of those interests is money, and I'm kind of sharing my whole sort of rise on YouTube on what I'm doing and my experiences with Baited. I'm selling that as sort of a reality show.
Yeah, you kind of had no job, and now you're one of the, maybe not the fastest rising, but you're definitely a rising star in the YouTube community.
Well, we'll see if this glitch doesn't kill it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about that glitch for a second, because Ethan from H3 Productions put out a video yesterday. And kind of, you saw it? Okay, good.
Yes, I did.
Wow. What do you think is going on here? Because I have no idea what like. It hasn't affected me. I'm too small, so it hasn't affected me. But I can see, like, definitely, like, even Ethan in his video kind of showed where his normal hits and views are at, and then now since the glitch, and it's not just a couple hundred views. It's starting to get a little bit concerning for bigger YouTubers.
Well, first of all, I do think it's just a glitch.
Okay, like they're fucking with the algorithm?
I don't think this is the intended response that YouTube wants. But my worry is that they're fooling with the algorithm, because they're fooling with the algorithm right now, and this is just one of the results that we're getting.
Yeah.
Because of Donald Trump's victory in because of Donald Trump's electoral victory in the United States. And the reason I say that is because you even see these news media stories. Google going to crack down on fake news. What's fake news? What do you mean by fake news?
Yeah,
anything
exactly.
you disagree with? Is this? We've seen a lot of things about YouTube in the past talking about bullying or harassment, which, if you really get down to it, no, it's somebody you like that's being criticized, and that person's claiming that you're calling that harassment. No, that's critique. I don't know why there's a separate standard for YouTubers, because if I made 20 articles about what a rotten person Hillary Clinton was, and I was in the regular news media, that wouldn't be looked at as harassment. That would mean I was a political pundit. And Facebook and Facebook with the fake news and go to the fake news. I think, especially in social media, which is mostly owned by people who donate heavily to the Democratic Party, are in a panic, because at some level they're right. They have created these wonderful forms of expression, these wonderful forms of free expression, and the funny thing is their personal political views are not, or their ideas are not, rising to the top of that sort of free market of ideas.
Right.
So I think, and I hope I'm wrong, that they're screwing with the damn thing right now to eliminate people they see as their political enemies. But in doing so, they're probably affecting, like, I don't think they'd be looking to shut down Comedy Shorts Gamer.
Right.
But just the simple fact that they have not admitted that there's an issue, and there very clearly is an issue. I watched it happen. I uploaded the video for Baited last night, or the podcast for Baited on YouTube, and I watched it happen instantly.
Well, I saw that.
And it was.
I saw the Twitter video that Keem put out.
Yes, and I watched it happen live on my end.
Yeah.
So it was very much like Denji's video comedy. It was drip, 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 boom, 100.
Yeah, it was a huge drop.
It was drip. Yeah, it was drip, 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 drip. And I got to be honest with you, I think the only reason I'm a plus every day is because I broadcast every day. I think my site would, if I did videos like Nick Cash, I think I'd be all red and have tons of minuses on Social Blade. I think that's the only reason I get away with that is the fact that really just very simply the fact that I broadcast every day and I bring in new people every day. So
you're a live show. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think being a live show helps you out big time in this case.
Sure. But even my viewers have been cut in half. I've had people write me and said they've been unsubbed and showed me screenshots of it.
That's happened to me too. A couple of channels that I watch regularly, I went to look the other day and I wasn't subscribed anymore.
Yeah, there's that. I wonder who I've been unsubscribed from, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah,
there's that. Keem had asked me if, talked about not being in people's sub boxes. Strangely enough, like the only guy that doesn't seem to be really affected by this, I think, is Scarce, because I think he had a 1 million hit video the other day.
Really?
So So what I think it's a problem that maybe that's been around for a while, and then maybe it's propagated. But I feel like, even though it doesn't make much sense, that this is due to Trump panic, which we are seeing in the States among the news media,
big time,
and the social media moguls. I think we're seeing it in Twitter. We're even seeing panic on Twitter. What happened just a day ago? Now they're just spending people's accounts. Or Dolan Dark got a message that said you have to take this down, or you get space 24-hour suspension. There's all sorts of new options. You can mute certain words to stay in a ridiculous safe space. And all I can say this: if words that are dangerous are the speak of totalitarians, and I really think that they simply they think that Hillary Clinton was simply not elected because they didn't get the word out on what a wonderful human being is, and all these criticisms of her are just simply propaganda and lies, which we both know is not the case. She was a very flawed candidate.
Yeah.
And I just think that social media, as well as the rest of the world, as well as the left in the United States, is in an utter panic. And I hope I'm wrong and it has nothing to do with it. This is just some glitch. But just the simple fact that YouTube has yet to acknowledge the glitch publicly, that we have seen evidence of it, that I've personally seen evidence of it, makes me scared. You know, and go back to YouTube Heroes a month ago, which went over like a fart in church.
Yeah, that went over great.
They want to censor people, but still be called a free speech platform, and they're trying to sort of word it or do it in such a way where they don't have to deal with divergent opinions. And like Miley Yiannopoulos says, that's probably fraud.
Yeah.
They're not free speech platforms. They're not.
No, definitely not.
They're, especially if they're looking to squash political views. And the funny thing is, the people that they don't like are at the top of their political scale, and the people they do like at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the way I feel about that.
Okay, so Baited, do you have a favorite episode?
No.
You like them all?
No, I don't.
No?
I don't listen to them.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't listen to them. I listened to the first three, and I think I listened to the one where I got in a fight. No, I didn't even. That's when I stopped listening to him. When I got in a really bad fight with Clown.
Yeah.
I stopped listening to him. Yeah, I skimmed through them.
Really? Okay.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, I only skimmed through this one today because to make sure I didn't screw it up when I encoded it.
Right.
Now I'm responsible for the YouTube part now.
Okay, so you're in charge of the channel. So it's not we don't get mad at Clown anymore when there's no episodes. We get mad at you.
No, you can get mad at Clown. I just upload it to YouTube.
But I think it was the last episode of Baited where Clown brought up the fact that even if it wasn't his fault, and it was because Keemstar said that he didn't put it up. So
I wouldn't say that.
I got a good laugh at that.
I think the last problem with the last episode, and I'm as frustrated as some of the fans are. I think we had to put out an episode, and I think the last episode was pretty good. I think it was really funny.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was
lighter-hearted than some of the other episodes.
But you guys need that sometime.
I think so too, and our war is sort of over with Leafy and Grade, so we have to move on to new things. New things have to happen to talk about.
Yeah.
But you know, the stage, the final episode, the showdown with Leafy was, I think, ended the story in a lot of ways. So there's got to be new stories and new narratives to develop. But I think what happened this time is Clown's audio was so bad, and it did seem slightly lower than normal, that he tried to compensate for it and fix it as best he could. and in doing so, maybe took a day or two extra. When I received the MP3, it was up 2 hours later on YouTube. So I've been trying to get it on YouTube up a lot quicker. I think I've done a pretty good job. I have a better internet connection than Clown does too. He lives out in the woods and I don't know, with castles and harpies and trolls and dwarfs or
so
whatever.
He lives in World of Warcraft.
In English, he lives in the World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay.
That's what he does. And everybody has a World of Warcraft accent.
Is there somebody that you'd really like to get on the show? Is there somebody in the YouTube community that you would just be dying to get on the show and kind of ask
No, I want them on my channel. I want to grow my channel.
Okay, well then on your channel. Is there anybody that you would like on your channel?
No. I don't care. Anybody that's big.
If you had a chance to go one-on-one with Grade, would you?
Yeah, of course. I mean that goes without saying. But I don't it's so out of the realm of possibility. And I think I may have screwed it up with the last high school insult or schoolyard insult thing because it looks like that's all I got in the tank, which I don't. I don't have that for Grade. Grade isn't that stupid. I'd wreck Grade, and I wouldn't have to call him a name. But I thought I was going in for a high school with Hey Watch Your Mouth, Nick Cash. I thought I was going with a high school insult contest, and Nick's got shit going on, I think, and he's got better fucking things to do. Despite he made some screw ups in this whole thing, but I mean big ones. But I think one of the reasons is he's distracted by other issues, legitimate issues. But no, I would make, I'll tell you something. If Grade ever debated me, I would make him run back to his university and demand a refund. That's how bad I would embarrass Grade.
Really?
And yeah, I would like that, I suppose. But it's so it's like I'd like to interview Jimi Hendrix too, but he's dead.
That might be a little.
That's not going to happen.
That might be a little difficult.
Not going to happen either. Yeah, exactly. So I consider like an interview with Grade because it would be most like a Keemstar. It would be me. What I'm interested in what he did to me. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Yeah. And he didn't even have the courage to name me. I mean, he would say, "Well, I didn't want to make your channel any more famous than it was." Okay, fine. But you essentially accused me of accusing you of being a pedophile, which is absolutely fundamentally not true and dishonest. And basically, in order to win an argument or even get around my criticism of you, where you don't belong near kids because you're a liar, you had to invent an accusation that I didn't make. So yeah, I destroy him.
Yeah, because there's nothing.
Like I said,
there.
He would run back to that university and demand his money back because a guy who cheated his way out of high school embarrassed him so thoroughly on the internet. That's what I'd like to do, but it's not going to happen. I got news for you. Grade smarter than that.
Fair enough. And last question here on Shot to the Point. Whenever you get maybe bad calls or somebody just doesn't pick up, you play a clip where it's a nuclear explosion and you blow them up. Right?
Yes.
Where did that come from? Because I love it.
Don Imus. Don Imus is probably the first shock jock in New York that talked like we're talking now. Before it was like, "Hey, everybody, welcome to Radio Land. I'm going to play the top songs by the Four Seasons. Four Seasons, coming from New Jersey." Don Imus was he's a nasally Jew from Texas. Hey, we're doing Amish in the morning. And he would kind of do this thing and he would talk like kind of, like he would talk to women like, "Hey, baby, you got the big yabos going on there," something like that. And I was like, wow, a guy that talks like kind of normal, sort of normal. Right. But it was a free sort of form conversation. Stern always took that to like the next level.
Yes, he did.
And Stern says he did it first and Imus ripped him off. But I mean, I heard Imus first. Maybe that's true. Maybe it isn't. It seemed like, my dad says that Imus was talking like a human being before anybody else.
Well, there you go.
And he would do an explosion. He started doing that in the early 90s, and I directly ripped it off from him because it never stops being funny.
No, exactly. I agree.
It never stops being funny. And the fact that I can do it visually, and you used to have to do it like with animation. And the other thing is, like, it was always good because when he first started doing it, when he blew people up, he'd hang up on you, right? And then he stopped doing that. He stopped hanging up on you after he blew you up, right? He'd stop hanging up on you, and it didn't have the impact.
Right? Yeah, of course.
It didn't have the impact anymore, and that's why I make sure I pretty much hang up. Well, I think I've done it a few times, but I hang up on everything. But I do. I dig it. And the fact, I dig it, and it's a tribute to it. Not only is it a really funny bit for me, and it helps me, but it's a tribute to a guy I really admired in radio, and a guy I got to meet once too.
Very cool.
Yeah, I got to meet once too, and he was. Did you see the Howard Stern movie?
Yes, I did.
All right, he was. Imus was in that movie, or somebody playing Imus is in that movie. You know that, right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you remember the other disc jockey that says, "Hey, Mr. Imus, would you like to meet our new disc jockey Howard Stern?" He opens the door, he goes, "Fuck you, Stern."
Yes.
Yeah, that's Don Imus.
Okay.
And that was pretty accurate portrayal of him, because that's kind of the vibe I got from him when I met him. But I don't know. I like incorrigible people that speak their mind and not afraid to be nasty. I've always been very attracted to people like that. So when he was kind of a dick to me, I said, "You're my radio hero." He's like, "Yeah, okay, autograph." And I was like, "Cool, you're a dick too. You're really a dick in real life."
It's awesome. Not a work. It's real.
It's not a work. It's not a fucking work. It's great, So yeah, that's a tribute to Don. Don's old now, and now he really mumbles, and he's impossible to listen to because he's in his 80s, I think now. But yeah, I loved him as a kid. He was like a hero of mine, and he just started getting old and lame. Stern started crushing him.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, he's started getting old, and Stern started crushing him. And but he is one of he's only 76. He looks like shit. That's the problem.
Right. Well, I mean, at 76, you're gonna start going a bit.
Yeah, Charles McCord. He's yeah, I know, but yeah, he's been bad for years. I was in the States 2 years. I was in Boston 2 years ago, and listened to him, holy shit.
Oh, being from Montreal, I have no love for Boston. I'm not allowed.
Oh yeah. Well, I was Boston. I don't really have much love for Boston, being a Yankee fan, and I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Having some dealings with people over there that I'd rather forget.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Tommy, that's all I got for you today. We made it through the entire interview. Thank you very much for being on, guys. I highly encourage you to check out Tommy's channel. Some really great content every single day. It's Shot from the Point. I'll leave a link in the description. And his podcast with Keemstar and Colossal is crazy. It's called Baited. Also, you can find it on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, all those great places. I will leave a link in the description for that as well. So thank you very, very much, Tommy. I had a really good time talking to you. Thank you again for doing this. And congratulations on all your success, and I hope it continues for you because you really deserve it. You're a really entertaining dude, and I really like the stuff that you do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So there you have it, guys. That was my interview with Tommy C. from Shot from the Point, as well as the Baited podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit that like button. If you want to join the Broski Club, hit that subscribe button. Check out my Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/FTitM. And as always, be good to each other. Don't be an asshole online when you're gaming. Check back very soon for the next episode of First Thing in the Morning.